Hi everyone, I am Rindo Raj, your Polity faculty, and the very purpose of this video is to make you aware about the importance of Indian polity in prelims as well as for mains. See, this polity is subject is asked in both prelims as well as mains, similar to economy, history, geography, environment, so on and so. Okay, see, there are certain subjects like say Indian society, in the internal security, world history. From these topics, questions are asked only for mains. But for polity or economy or environment, similarly certain subjects are asked for both prelims as well as mains. So that's the importance of polity in UPSC preparations. Okay, and on an average for prelims, 14 to 16 questions are asked from Indian polity alone. That is accounts for nearly 28 to 32 marks are asked. And in case of mains, when we analyze the recent trends, nearly 125 marks out of 250 marks is asked from Indian polity alone in GS2 paper. And going through detailed analysis, when we go for the latest trend, see in 2020, 16 questions were asked, or in 2017, 22 questions were asked. The only rare exception was in the year 2016. In that year, only 6 questions was asked from Indian polity. Okay, but see in 2017, 22 questions were from Indian polity alone. That means you can score 44 marks from Indian polity itself. And that year, the cutoff mark was 105. That means we can score 42% marks of the cutoff marks. That means the single subject may help you clear prelims. And see the latest 2 years, 3 years, 15, 16 questions. At average 14 to 16 questions comes from Indian polity. That means you can easily score at least an average of 30 to 32 marks from Indian polity. And when we analyze the main trend, the last 3 years, 5 10 markers and 5 15 mark questions are asked. That is a total of 125 marks. See in GS2, the subject includes Indian polity, governance, social justice and international relations, and total marks for a mains paper is 250. Okay, in case of GS. And see here, out of the 250, 125 marks were directly asked from Indian polity itself. So this shows the relevance of Indian polity. So you cannot leave this polity if you are preparing to become an IAS IPS officer. Fine. And here when we start preparation, there is no clear-cut segregation like polity for prelims, polity for mains. No, there is no such classifications. We have to study all those things together. But thing is that we have to apply it in a different manner. See, in case of prelims, we'll be more focusing on the facts and concepts there. But see, in case of mains, the same thing will be the same concepts we'll be studying, but we'll be analyzing it in a different manner. That means I'll give an example. So this is a previous year question. Okay, in case of prelims, please note that which of the following are included in the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. This means it asks the various powers of Supreme Court. So we have to note down various powers. It's a factual question. But see the main question from the same topic. Is the High Court's power to issue writ wider than that of Supreme Court of India? That means Supreme Court has some various powers, High Court also has some various powers. Those powers, that concepts or that facts we'll be studying for prelims, and we'll be analyzing those same topics in a different manner, in an analytical manner or in a comparative manner, and we'll be answering it in the mains. So this is the only difference. That means we'll be studying all those things all together, but apply it in a different method. Clear? I'll give you one more example. Which one of the following is not a feature of Indian federalism? See, India is a federal country. That means clear demarcation of power between central as well as states, or having two governments, that is central government as well as state government. So some of the features of Indian federalism, that is facts we'll be learning for prelims. And see the questions from that topic in mains. Though the federal principle is dominant in our constitution, and that principle is one of its basic features, but it is equally true that federalism under the Indian constitution leans in favor of a strong center, a feature that militates against the concept of strong federalism. Question says that India is a federal country, fine, but there are some provisions which have a unitary tendency, more centralizing tendency, discuss. So knowing the concepts of Indian federalism and some other provisions, we have to analyze whether India is a truly federal or whether it is a truly unitary, or what's the status of our constitution. In that manner, we have to analyze the same concepts and same topics in a different manner in case of mains. So this is the approach to study Indian polity. Fine. And for that, and here we will be providing a comprehensive classes for both prelims as well as for mains. So there is no clear separation for prelims as well as mains. We will be studying it all together. Okay, for that we have to note down, we have to thorough with the syllabus. See, UPSC has provided us with the syllabus. So for Indian polity also, there is a clear-cut syllabus and we have to thorough with those syllabus. Okay, that is reads Indian Constitution, its formation, historical underpinnings, evaluations, features we have to note down, and the functions and responsibilities of union, that is center as well as states, various challenges regarding the federal structure and local governments, all those things. And separation of powers between various organs, that is there is legislature, there is executive, there is judiciary, and how the powers between these three organs are separated we will be learning here. Then comparing Indian Constitution with various other constitutions of the world. That means we will be comparing Indian Constitution with US Constitution. That is, India we have a parliamentary form of government. In USA there is a presidential form of government. So there is a differences. So that we will be learning. Okay, and in India we have a federal form of government. There is two governments, that is central government as well as state government. But see, in UK, that is United Kingdom, they have only a single strong national government. It's they follow unitary government. So we'll be comparing those provisions with our provisions with that of other constitutions of the world. Fine. Then we'll be learning about the parliament and state legislatures, their various powers and functions, and the organization of judiciary we'll be learning here, and regarding pressure groups, so and so, salient features of Representation of People's Act, then various constitutional bodies, non-constitutional bodies will be learning, and other quasi-judicial bodies. So this is the syllabus which UPSC is provided. Okay, so we'll be learning all those things, and by incorporating all these things, we have planned, we'll be covering all those topics in our classes, and I'll quickly briefing all those concepts here now. Okay, we'll be reading about the Constitution, preamble. Preamble means the introduction to the Constitution we'll be learning here. Then parliamentary form of government. As I said, India is a parliamentary form of government. Here the real powers is with the Prime Minister of India. But in case of USA, they follow presidential form of government. So we will be learning what are the features of parliamentary form and the features of presidential form, its advantages, disadvantages, and why India opt for having a parliamentary government rather than going presidential form. All those things we will be learning here. Then federal system is having two governments, that is central government as well as state government, its various powers, and how the powers between the center and states are demarcated, that we will be learning here. In a concept called basic structure we will be learning here. Amendments. Amendment means making changes to the constitution. See, as the society evolves or as the country evolves, we have to make changes to the constitution as well. And we will be learning there what is amendment, who has the power to make amendment, and how an amendment is introduced in the parliament. All those things we will be learning here. The union and its territories, how states are formed, likewise. Fundamental rights, the most important topic is fundamental rights. Okay, because this enables us to know what all rights are enjoyed by a citizen. Say example, I am here to take class for you. That's just because the constitution guarantees an Indian citizen the right to choose a profession. So because of the right only, I am standing before you to take the class. Similarly, we have the right to move anywhere in the country. It is just because the constitution guarantees an Indian citizen the right to move anywhere in the country. It means to move from one state to another state, we need not take any permission. We can travel because it's a right given to a citizen. So we'll be learning all those fundamental rights. Then a concept called directive principles. That means these principles help the government to frame laws and to take major policy decisions. And the fundamental duties we'll be learning here. Parliament, the various powers and functions of parliament, how a parliament is constituted, and how the members are elected to parliament, that is to Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, and how the regarding speaker, deputy speaker, chairman of Rajya Sabha, deputy chairman, and various committees of the parliament. And we'll be learning about the procedure for money bill, finance bill, how a budget is enacted, and how a normal bill is passed. All those things comes to the topic parliament. Similarly, state legislature at the state level. Okay, since state legislature also there is no uniformity. That means majority of the states has a unicameral legislature. That means having only one house, that is legislative assembly. But there are 6 states in our country which has bicameral setup. That means having 2 houses, that is legislative assembly as well as legislative council. So only 6 states has 2 houses. Okay, so we will learning those differences. and comparing between assembly as well as council, and comparing with Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, all these powers and functions we will be learning here. Then union executives will be learning. Union executives means president, vice president, prime minister, central council of ministers as well as attorney general, their powers and functions. Regarding state executive, the governor, chief minister of the state council of ministers as well as advocate general, their powers and functions as well as limitations we will be learning here. Union territories directly under the control of the central government. Judiciary, that is Supreme Court, High Court and various subordinate courts we will be learning here. Local self-governments like Panchayat Raj institutions, municipalities, because these provisions enforces what? The decentralization, that is uphold the grassroots level democracy. So the provisions, how they are constituted, how the election is done, all those things we will be learning here. Then center-state relations regarding GST Council, emergency provision, that is regarding national emergency, state emergency, financial emergency, on when and which condition this emergency can be imposed, or who can impose these emergencies, and what's its validity. At that time, what is the effect of the life of citizens? All these things will be learning there. In various constitutional bodies, say example, constitutional bodies means bodies established by the constitution. Say example, Election Commission of India, or example, Comptroller and Auditor General of India, and various non-constitutional bodies like say Niti Aayog. It is not a constitutional body because it is formed by the order of the government. So those differences, so what is a constitutional body, what is a statutory body, what is an executive body, their powers and functions, limitations, everything. Regarding elections and election laws, various political parties and how political parties are organized, who grants some recognition, on what condition they are granting recognition, all be learning here. Pressure groups, citizenship, then scheduled and tribal areas. So these are course at a glance. So we'll be covering all those topics for our prelims as well as mains examinations. So for that to study, you must know what are the sources you have to note down, or which material you have to refer. Okay, to know that, first of all you have to know that what are the things we are going to learn for the examinations. First of all, we will be learning the constitution. Then we will be learning what? Important laws and pending bills in the parliament. See, sometimes the bills pending in the parliament or various acts of the parliament are asked for examinations. I'll give an example. These were previous year questions for prelims. Okay, consider the following statements. As per the recent amendment to the Indian Forest Act, amendment means what? Making changes to the constitution. So already one act was there, and later on some changes were made to that concerned act. Okay, the forest dwellers have the right to fell the bamboos grown on forest areas. As per Scheduled Tribes and other traditional forest dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act, bamboo is a minor forest produce. This shows that the acts enacted by the parliament, its features can be asked for prelims as well as for mains. I'll give one more example. Which of the following statements are correct regarding Maternity Benefit Amendment Act of 2000? Again, Act. So when you go to the current affairs, important acts passed by the parliament, you have to note down. And see, these important acts are asked for mains as well. One question is given as an example. Explain the salient features of Constitution 101st Amendment Act. Do you think it is efficacious enough to remove the cascading effect of taxes and provide for a common national market for goods and services? Or another example, discuss section 66A of IT Act. Again, IT Act. Some sections of various act can also be asked for mains. Okay, so we'll be learning Constitution, various acts of the parliament, and again we'll be learning some Supreme Court verdicts. Some of the verdicts of Supreme Court can also be asked in mains examinations or for prelims as well. I'll give an example. Whether the Supreme Court judgment can settle the political tussle between the Lieutenant Governor and elected government of Delhi. See, there are some issues regarding the powers of the elected government of Union Territories as well as the Lieutenant Governor. So Supreme Court come with some kind of verdicts. So that verdicts are important for us. Okay. Another, critically examine the Supreme Court's judgment on National Judicial Appointments Commission Act of 2014 with reference to the appointment of judges of higher judiciary in India. This shows that the value or the importance of Supreme Court judgments. So when you go to the current affairs topics, a crucial verdict can be given by the Supreme Court. So based on that perspective, we can expect questions for mains as well. So that we have to take care. Okay, so we'll be learning Constitution, various acts of the parliament and Supreme Court judgments. For that, to cut short, you have to note down the class lectures. In class lectures, we will be covering many topics and many explanations other than the class lectures, and we'll be giving you class handouts. Printed materials will be given for you to make you quick revision. And there's a book called Lakshmikant. It's a decent book. The thing is that it can be used mostly for prelims examination. Why means lots of facts and concepts are there. And it's a bulky book, okay. But you can use this for reference purposes. It's lengthier. Some unwanted things for the exam are also there in these topics. So be selective in using Lakshmikant. And there are other books like D.D. Basu, Subhash Kashyap's, NCERT's are there. But you please don't worry. I know it's hectic to read all those books. For that purpose, we'll do the research work there and we will make short the things which you are to learn and be providing you in the class lectures as well as in the class handouts. So as a short, you must note down the class lectures. Please prepare notes while watching the classes and read the materials provided by the Gallant IAS. Also, you can keep the book Lakshmikant for reference purposes. Okay. And you need not invest time in reading D.D. Basu, NCERT's, we will do that work. But you please revise the class handouts, okay. And also follow a current affairs magazine also. That will be helpful for you to note down those various acts or the current developments in our constitution or Indian polity, as well as Supreme Court judgments on current affairs magazine. That will be sufficient, okay. And at the end, we will be also providing you with current affairs classes as well, not an issue. So, you don't worry about that. So, the things you have to now focus is class lectures, class handouts, let's begin for reference purposes and a current affairs. You have to update with your current affairs topics as well, okay. So, what's the importance of current affairs? Because questions are asked directly in the prelims as well as mains or indirectly, that is the static portion related to the current affairs can also be asked for prelims as well as mains. I'll give an example for that. See, I'm this example by means to make you aware how UPSC frames questions. See, our target is to clear the exam, right? Okay. So, how? So, we have to clear exam means we have to know what is this exam. That's why I am stressing more importance to this example. So, you will be aware how UPSC frame questions and what are the things we have to focus when we study concerned subjects. Clear? So, regarding Aadhaar card, once the issue of privacy was widely discussed and debated, the question was asked regarding Aadhaar. Aadhaar card can be used as a proof of citizenship or domicile. Once issued, Aadhaar number cannot be deactivated or omitted by the issuing authority. So, it's a current affairs related question. Fine. Then the another one is an indirect question. See, regarding LGBT issue, that is Supreme Court strike down a part of the section 377 as unconstitutional. That is regarding LGBT rights, lesbian gay rights. Okay. At that time, a question indirectly asked, which article of the Constitution of India safeguards one's right to marry the person of one's choice? This is the static portion related to the current affairs. In this manner also what? UPSC frame questions. So, when you come across a current affairs topics, you also revise the static portion related to that current affairs topics. That's clear. Fine. In mains also questions are asked from current affairs. In the light of recent controversy, see, this is not the question asked in 2020, okay, or 2019. When the current affairs was the prominent at that time, the subsequent years questions come from that concerned topic. Just an example. Fine. In the light of recent controversy regarding the use of electronic voting machines, what are the challenges before the Election Commission of India to ensure the trustworthiness to elections in India? A current affairs topic at that time. The concept of cooperative federalism has been increasingly emphasized in recent years. Highlight the drawbacks in the existing structure and the extent to which the cooperative federalism would answer the shortcomings. So, when a concept called cooperative federalism emerged, at that time, the question came from that topic. So, this is the manner you have to approach a current affairs, okay. Either directly can be asked or the static portion related to the current affairs can also be asked, okay. And what's our strategy? How we arrange our classes? See, to score more marks in prelims as well as mains, first of all, you have to study more. Apart from that, you have to put your effort. You have to understand the UPSC, okay. For that, one thing is, we will be stressing the previous year question, that is PYQs. That is after the end of each module in every classes, we will be discussing the previous year questions associated with their concerned topic. Say example, if today we are learning about the parliamentary form of government, say example, and after that modules get completed, we'll be discussing the previous year questions asked by UPSC of the last 20 or 25 years regarding the concerned topic in the same day. Or if you are learning fundamental rights today, and after the end of fundamental rights topic, we'll be discussing the previous year questions regarding fundamental rights. So you will get a crystal clear idea that how UPSC asks questions. Fine. So that will helpful for you to learn polity as well as every other subjects easier. And in polity, we'll be comparing the subjects. That means once we learn the president of India, then we will learn about the governor of states. Why means the president at the center and the governor at states have almost similar powers with some exceptions. So once you learn president, it will be helpful for you to understand the powers and functions of governor easier. Similarly, once you study prime minister, it will be easier for you to learn the chief minister of states easier. Once you learn the Supreme Court, its various powers, it will be helpful for you to learn the powers and functions of High Court. In this manner, we'll be comparing those topics. Why means, see, there's a concept called UPSC twins. This is not an established concept, okay? That means some topics are similar. So UPSC can interchange the provisions of one with the other and confuse you. Say at some history we can say that Buddhism and Jainism. Some of the concepts or the facts behind the Buddhism can be interchanged and asked related to Jainism. Comparison. Similarly, in case of geography, tropical cyclones, temperate cyclones, its conditions can be interchanged and may confuse you. So always compare and learn those provisions. So that will be helpful for you to easily study as well as to easily score marks. So we'll be having here a comparative learning, and also we'll be having here answer writing practice. That is, after the end of each module, we'll be giving you a mains question. That is a previous year mains question. I will ask you to write the answer for that. By writing more answers, one by one, our answer gets improved. Okay. So after each module, a previous year question related to that concerned topic will be given you as an assignment, and you have to write that answer and submit to us, and we will give you proper feedback. See, in mains, we have to write and practice. Okay. And test series will be provided for you for prelims as well as for mains. See, practice helps you to know the exam better, okay. After practicing more number of previous year questions as well as mock tests, you will be helpful for you to crack the prelims well, because we'll be practicing in such a manner. So questions will be in that level, UPSC level. So it will be helpful for you to score more marks in the prelims examinations. Okay. And in polity, there is one key strategy, that is the main secret of Indian polity is exceptions. In polity, there are many kind of exceptions, and if you study those exceptions well, because in prelims, questions are confused based on those exceptions only. Again, I'll give you an example. Consider the following statements. No criminal proceedings shall be instituted against the governor of a state in any court during his term of office. See, this is an exception to the concept called equality before law. In fundamental rights, you will be learning a concept called equality before law and equal protection of law. That means all citizens are equal before the eyes of law. But see, regarding president and governor, there are some exceptions. So that exceptions we will be learning here, and those exceptions can make you confused. So we'll be clearing all those from the classes itself. I'll give one more example. A British citizen staying in India cannot claim right to. This is regarding fundamental rights. That is, all fundamental rights are almost applicable to citizens as well as foreigners. But thing is that there are 5 fundamental rights which cannot be enjoyed by a foreigner. That is applicable to only Indian citizens. So that is an exception. So those 5 provisions you have to learn thoroughly. Why? Because in that manner, UPSC can trick you. Fine. So you'll be clearing with all those exceptions. So exceptions can make you stronger in polity prelims examinations. Okay. Again, another question. Which of the following statements is or are correct? A bill pending in the Lok Sabha lapses on its prorogation, or a bill pending in the Rajya Sabha which has not been passed by the Lok Sabha shall not lapse on the dissolution of Lok Sabha. This means, see, normally when the Lok Sabha gets dissolved, all the bills get lapsed normally. Again, there are some exceptions. Some bills will not get lapsed. So that exceptions we have to learn down. Fine. I'll give a mains question regarding those exceptions. As we live in a plural society, we need the greatest freedom to express our opinions, even if others find it offensive. Do you agree? Discuss with reference to some recent instance in the Indian context. Here a question is asked and linking it with the current affairs. The refers to some recent instance. So current affairs topic is asked here. We have to mention some current affairs topics here and exceptions also asked here direct. This is regarding the right to freedom of speech and expression. The constitution guarantees us right to freedom of speech and expression, but the thing is that it is not absolute. There are some exceptions. Sometimes our freedom can be curtailed. Based on that only, this question is asked. So this is the crux of Indian polity. I hope you get an overall idea. Okay. And the last information we have to share you is the mantra to success. That is minimum sources, maximum revision. See, there are lots of materials available in the market and we cannot read all those things. Why? Because we have to study other subjects as well. Not only polity we have to learn. We have to learn history, geography, environmental ecology, science and tech, governance, security, world history. Many things we have to learn. So please don't go for wide number of materials. Please limit your sources and do it maximum revision. So in our collective preparation strategy, we'll be doing all those research works and we'll be reading all those wider materials and will reduce your workload. The thing you have to do is to revise those materials as well as just multiple number of times. So minimum sources, maximum revision, that's our key to success. Fine. Rabindranath Tagore once said, you can't cross the sea merely by standing and staring at the water. So, without making a second thought, start the preparation at the earliest and achieve your dream. Wishing you all the success. Bye.